Hi, I'm Gabi Regalado, one of the Gear Up mentors at Parkland Middle School. I am a senior attending UTEP, and I'm here to introduce one of the many careers in the field of architecture engineering, the Fire Protection and Prevention Engineer. This career has various titles in the workforce, such as Chief Engineer, Loss Control Manager, Design Director, and FBE and Code Consultant, which all are fitting in the responsibilities of an engineer. According to my majors, a fire protection engineer must research causes of fires, determine fire protection methods, and design or recommend material or equipment such as structural components or fire detection equipment to assist organizations in safeguarding life and property against fire, explosions, and related hazards. These engineers are like the detectives of fire. They use their knowledge and skills in their field to find and study answers for the employer. As one would expect, the majority of the career is to investigate fire. Their activities revolve around getting information, observing, receiving information from a broad spectrum of resources and clientele. They must also be able to communicate with their clients, to understand their needs and safety of the public and environment. Training others is another top priority. An FBE would need to determine the education of an audience and determine what needs to be done for them to know the practice safety guidelines. One of the significant challenges of the job is the way the environment can change and apply what engineers have learned not only in the classroom but also in the field. Each situation can come up with different requirements, different materials, and different clientele that makes solving the problem much more rewarding. You can find these engineers in a variety of places, such as insurance companies, office boards, federal employment, scholarly study, and vast landscapes. This career has no limits. Each title holds different expectations in doing a variety of work and fields focus. A fire prevention engineer can help design buildings, determine what materials are suitable for the environment around the structure, or even how to aid in fixing the environment from fire damage. Their duties come as simple as testing fire alarms to something historical like finding methods in stopping forest fires. One of the more appealing expectations of a fire engineer is the ability to set demo structures on fire using the scientific method. Then, from the results, reapply restrictions and designs for their clients. Or, if the person loves the civic duties of a firefighter but wants to avoid the front lines of the flames, this career might be for them. Ensuring safety is a fire prevention engineer's top priority. They are like the standard cushion for firefighters who arrive in the worst case scenarios. So how does one become a fire prevention engineer? There are a variety of ways of becoming one, but there are three main requirements. The first is higher education in the form of a bachelor's in engineering, hence why it's under the architecture engineering category. The specified degree has various titles and can come from a variety of colleges. The more desirable engineering degrees would be those that focus on architecture, design, technology, building and construction, mathematics, and physics. It's advised if students in high school want this career path, they should find a focus in a heavy math and science to have a good foundation in their education. According to environmentalscience.org, related degrees would be environmental chemistry degree, forensics anthropology bachelor's degree, and biological science degrees. The second requirement is field experience. This is usually obtained at an entry-level job at the facility, where the engineer would train under someone and work on straightforward attributes for a good foundation of understanding. A professional qualification is a necessity for the third requirement. This is to establish practical experience and roles in the workforce. The third and final requirement is certification. Each state has their own requirements on what laws the fire prevention engineer must know, and this can be obtained through the state by taking a test, usually an 80-question exam. A fourth option lies in the higher education for more roles and responsibilities. Getting a master's is not a requirement in most of the field, but is vital for those interested in focusing on research and teaching academia. In other words, this would be for a professor who has funding from the school to advance the research. To be a fire prevention engineer, there seems to be a focus in education and understanding, which is also understandable as lives are at stake. This comes to show how much work it takes to be a critical thinker and having evidence to back you up. Getting a good education is the first start for this career. But what skills are needed for a fire protection engineer? What skills make the job? Just like most jobs, English and writing are essential for communication. As an engineer, they must be able to properly communicate with others in different levels of understanding. Critical thinking and complex problem solving revolves around using logic and reasoning to identify the strengths and weaknesses of alternative solutions or approaches to problems. This is where the engineer becomes the problem solver. Another skill is the system analysis, in which one should be able to determine how a system should work and how changes in the condition, operations, and the environment will affect outcomes. An important skill is the application of science, using scientific rules, methods, and theory to solve problems. Judgment and decision-making go hand in hand with critical thinking, as an engineer should be able to understand what is at stake, how things may be affected, and make the final call to how a problem can be solved. An even more critical ability is the negotiation and persuasion. These skills involve secure communication and the ability to find an agreement between different parties without sacrificing safety. It comes down to the ability to persuading others to change their minds or behaviors. But above all these skills, the most important would be the skill to be self-motivated and be willing to learn in the advances of technology and higher expectations. As an engineer, there is more to just punching in numbers and using the scientific law. But after all the trials and the journey the engineer has to face, what is the benefit? Aside from the vast knowledge of the field, an engineer may find motivation in how much they make. What is the wage of a fire protection engineer? According to mynextmove.org, an engineer may get an annual income of $53,170 to $142,970. The average is $89,130 annually. This is also supported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who found the average to be the same amount. Not a bad income in comparison to America's average wage, $45,646. As an engineer in this field, they would be earning $42.85 per hour. This is almost 6 times the amount of the federal minimum wage, which is about $7.25. So let's review. What is a fire prevention and protection engineer? They are an engineer who focuses primarily in the attributes of fire, the dangers, and the applicability of safety precautions. They may be employed in a variety of locations and environments. They act as advisors and problem solvers revolving around the study of fire safety. How can you become a fire prevention engineer? The first is to get a degree in engineering. There are a variety of choices, but it is advised to have a focus in math and science. Second is the on-field experience, to help implement what is learned in the classroom. The third is to become certified by the state. What skills are expected of an engineer? Being a creative thinker. This career is more than pushing pencils. Being a decision maker. Making the final call in situations leaves the engineer with a sharp mind. Being analytical. Noticing patterns and trends when it comes to unpredictable. And persuasive when the occasion calls for it. After all, safety is their top priority. So I'll be honest here. When given this assignment, I had no idea what to expect. The last 5 years, I have dedicated my studies in understanding the symbols and character traits of literature. The field of sciences and math held no interest in me. But I do love a good brain game. In learning about these engineers, I found that the best way to describe them is bubbled down to the creative thinkers. They are given special duties to explore theoretical ideas and turn it into something useful for the day-to-day. A fire protection and prevention engineer does this, and even more when it comes to researching the best in fire safety. They are the puzzle masters, using their collective knowledge to find the answers. I may have sold my soul to the characters in my books, but in another career path, I might have been able to become a fire prevention engineer, setting ablaze demo structures and designing unique equipment to amend flaws. I hope this video brought to light a new career in the field of architecture engineering. This is Gabi signing off.